The Curse of the Baskervilles. Dr. James Mortimer said, "I have a manuscript in my pocket." Holmes replied, "I saw it when you came in." "It looks old," Mortimer said. "Yes, it is from the early 1700s. Holmes said, "Unless it is fake," Mortimer asked. "How do you know?" Holmes answered. "You showed part of it while talking. An expert can tell the date roughly. I wrote a paper on this and guessed 1730. Mortimer said, "It is exactly from 1742. He took it from his pocket. Sir Charles Baskerville gave me this family paper. He died suddenly 3 months ago in Devonshire. I was his friend and doctor. He was practical and serious. He believed this document and thought about what happens to him." Holmes took the manuscript and looked at it on his knee. "Look, Watson, at the old style of writing. It helped me find the date. I looked at the yellow paper with faded writing. It tells a legend of the Baskerville family. But you want to talk about something more recent and serious?" "Yes. It is a very important and urgent matter. I must decide in one day. The manuscript is short and connected to this." Mortimer read the old story in a clear voice. "There are many stories about the Hound of Baskervilles. Here, I come from Hugo Baskerville, and my father told me this story from his father. I believe it is true. I want you to know that justice can forgive sins if people pray and feel sorry. Learn from this story not to fear the past, but be careful in the future. Our family suffered because of bad feelings. During the Great Rebellion, Hugo Baskerville owned Baskerville Manor. He was wild and cruel. People knew him for his bad behavior. He loved a farmer's daughter, but she avoided him because of his bad name. One day, Hugo and his friends took her when her family was away. They put her in a room and drank below. The girl was scared of their loud noise and bad words. She escaped by climbing down the wall covered with ivy and ran home across the moor. Later, Hugo found she escaped. He became angry and jumped on the table, saying he would give his soul to evil if he caught her. One man said they should send dogs after her. Hugo left, told his men to get his horse and dogs, and gave the dogs the girl's scarf. They ran after her in the moonlight. The others were confused but then followed on horses. They asked the shepherd if he saw the chase. He said he saw the girl and dogs, but also Hugo on his black horse. Behind him ran a strange black dog that looked like a devil. The men cursed the shepherd and went on. Soon they saw Hugo's horse running alone with no rider. They were afraid but kept going. They found the dogs near a deep valley on the moor. Most men stopped, but 3 brave or drunk men went down. They found 2 big stones and the girl's dead body in the middle. Near her was Hugo's dead body. What scared the men most was a big black beast standing over Hugo and biting his throat. It looked like a huge dog, bigger than any dog anyone saw. When it turned its eyes and jaws to the men, they screamed and ran away. One died that night, and the others were afraid for life. This is the story, my sons, about the hound that has troubled our family for many years. I write it down because the unknown is more frightening than what is known. Many family members died unhappy, suddenly, and mysteriously, but we trust in God's mercy, which does not punish the innocent forever. I advise you to avoid the moor at night when evil is strongest. This was written by Hugo Baskerville to his sons Roger and John, telling them not to tell their sister Elizabeth when Dr. Mortimer finished reading. He looked at Sherlock Holmes. Holmes yawned and threw his cigarette end into the fire. "Well?" Holmes asked. "Don't you find it interesting?" Mortimer said. "Only to someone who likes fairy tales," Holmes answered. Mortimer took a newspaper from his pocket. "Now, Mr. Say." "Holmes, here is something more recent. This is the Devon County Chronicle from May 14 this year. It tells about Sir Charles Baskerville's death a few days before." Holmes leaned forward and listened carefully. Mortimer began reading. Sir Charles Baskerville died suddenly. He was known as a possible Liberal candidate in the next election. Though he lived at Baskerville Hall for a short time, he was liked for his kindness and generosity. He made his fortune in South Africa and returned to restore his family's old fame. He planned many improvements at Baskerville Hall, but his death stopped this. He had no children and wanted the local people to benefit from his wealth. Many are sad about his early death. He gave money to local charities. The cause of Sir Charles's death is not fully clear, but there is no sign of crime. He was a widower with some strange habits. Though rich, he was simple. The servants at the hall were Mr. and Mrs. Barrymore. Their evidence and friends showed Sir Charles had poor health, especially with heart problems and nervous attacks. Mortimer, his doctor, confirmed this. Sir Charles usually walked at night in the yew alley before bed, smoking a cigar. On May 4, he planned to go to London and told Barrymore to prepare his luggage. That night he went out for his usual walk, but did not return. Barrymore found the door open at midnight and looked for him with a lantern. Sir Charles's footprints were easy to see because of the wet ground. Halfway there is a gate to the moor, where Sir Charles seemed to stop. After that, his footprints showed he walked on his toes. A horse dealer named Murphy was nearby but drunk. He heard cries but did not know where. Sir Charles's body was found at the end of the alley with no signs of violence. The doctor said his face was very strange, but this can happen with heart failure. The post-mortem agreed and said natural causes. The jury agreed. It is important Sir Charles's heir lives at the Hall to continue his work. The strange stories about his death stopped because of this official report. The next heir is Henry Baskerville, Sir Charles's nephew. He is in America now, and they are trying to find him. Mortimer put away the paper. These are the public facts, Mr. Holmes, about Sir Charles's death. Holmes said, "Thank you for telling me about this case. I read some news then, but I was busy with another matter. You say this article has all the public facts?" "Yes," said Mortimer. "Then tell me the private ones." Holmes leaned back and looked serious. Dr. Mortimer showed some emotion and said, "I have not told these things to anyone else. I kept quiet at the coroner's inquiry because I am a scientist and do not want to support superstitions. Also, if people knew, no one would want to live at Baskerville Hall. So, I told less than I knew. But with you, I can be honest. The moor has few people and they all know each other. I saw Sir Charles often. Except for 2 educated men, there are few in the area. Sir Charles was quiet, but we became friends because of his illness and our shared interest in science. So, he brought back many facts from South Africa, and we spent good evenings talking about people there. In the last months, I saw Sir Charles was very nervous. He believed strongly in the legend I read to you. He would walk in his grounds, but never on the moor at night. He truly thought his family was under a terrible curse. The family history was not hopeful. He often asked me if I ever saw strange animals or heard strange dogs at night. He asked many times, always excited. I remember visiting Sir Charles at his house one evening, about 3 weeks before he died. He was at the door. I got out of my carriage and stood in front of him. Suddenly his eyes looked over my shoulder with great fear. I turned and saw a large black animal at the start of the driveway. This scared him a lot. I stayed with him that evening, and he told me the old story I read to you. At the time, I thought it was not important. I advised Sir Charles to go to London because his heart was weak. He was very worried, and I thought city life would help him feel better. Our friend Mr. Stapleton agreed. But then the terrible event happened. On the night Sir Charles died, Barrymore, the butler, sent the groom Perkins to get me. I arrived within an hour. I checked all the facts from the investigation. I followed Sir Charles's footprints down the yew alley and saw the place where he stopped at the moor gate. After that, his footprints changed. They looked like he walked on his toes. Only Barrymore's footprints were near the body. I carefully looked at the body before anyone touched it. Sir Charles was lying face down, his arms stretched out, fingers digging into the ground, and his face showed strong emotion. There was no injury, but Barrymore said at the investigation there were no footprints near the body. He was wrong. I saw fresh footprints a little away. Footprints? I asked. Yes, footprints. A man's or woman's. Dr. Mortimer looked at us strangely and whispered, Mr. Holmes, they were the footprints of a huge dog.